Hello everybody, welcome to the Flight Sim Deck. My name is Patrick, and I have your questions here from the Q&A, and we're going to get started on that right now. Great questions, by the way, all of you. I didn't get to all of them, but got to most of them. Some of them were just repeated, so those are the ones I mainly won't be answering. The first one comes in from Prepared Pilot. He asked like 10 questions in one, and I'm a nice guy, so I'm going to try to answer all of them. In the future, please only ask one, because you will take questions away from other people who could ask them, but it's okay. He says, hello, what is your favorite FSX plane and scenery? When it comes to FSX, probably the PMDG 737, and my favorite scenery around then, back then I wasn't really using sceneries too much with FSX, so I don't know about that one. He says, general aviation, commercial, or military? Commercial. What hobbies do you do outside of YouTube and flight simming? The main hobby I do is skateboarding. I've been skateboarding for about 15 years. It's my favorite hobby. I've been doing it forever, live it, breathe it, still do it to this day. It's my main source of exercise and just an awesome way to clear your mind. I also enjoy cooking. I like, barbecuing and around this time of the year, football. I'm a big Carolina Panthers fan, so I like watching football. And I love photography, filmmaking, all kinds of stuff like that. When you travel, are you willing to meet up? I guess I would be open to that. I'm going to Cosford pretty soon, in about 4 weeks, way over in the UK. So if you're going to that, you might meet me there. What did you like most about growing up? I think I liked less responsibilities. You still had to go to school, but there was a lot less to worry about. I would take being an adult is way better than being a kid, for sure. A lot more freedom. What is the most stressful situation you have ever been in? How did you overcome it? It can be real life or P3D. The only thing that really comes to mind is this was maybe like 6 years ago. I was swimming in a lake with my friends, and we wanted to, there was these buoys way out in the lake to separate the boats from where the people were swimming. And I was swimming out about halfway, just by myself, to the buoys. And so I was already kind of tired, but I told my friends, like, hey, let's go all the way out to the buoys. And I was under the assumption that they were heavy enough to where you could hold on to them and just rest, from that long swim out there. So swim all the way out there, get to them, and I realized they're styrofoam, and they were huge. So I thought they were, I thought we could rest on them, but they weren't. They were just styrofoam. When you hold on them, you just sink. So instantly, it was just kind of panic for me. And you never want to panic when you're in the water, because it's like way out in the middle of the lake, can't rest, really tired, and I instantly tried. I tried swimming back. I got about halfway, and then my friend, I just hopped on his back. He got me the rest of the way. He wasn't as tired because he didn't do, the other halfway trips that I did. And when I got back to shore, I had like huge headache from, I guess, like just the lack of oxygen that I needed. And I would say that was probably the most stressful situation I'd ever been in. What version of FSX did you start out with? I may actually have it here. No, I don't know where it went, but I didn't have Steam Edition. I don't even think Steam Edition was out by then. I had the box version. What is your favorite quote? I said on your live stream once, one thing you never have to worry about in real life is lag. I think I said frames per second. I was basically on approach, and I was saying to everybody on the stream, if you fly in real life, one thing you don't have to worry about is bad frames per second, which is true. You'll never have to deal with that like you do in flight simulation. I don't really have a favorite quote. I've heard a lot of good quotes, but I have nothing like that is stuck with me that I can remember. What inspired you to pursue aviation? I'm going to skip that one. I think other people ask questions like that. Hopefully you'll answer all of these. Well, I pretty much answered all of them, so there you go. That guy with the guitar says, do you secretly hope one day the cabin crew will call out, does anybody here know how to fly this plane? And you stand up for your time to shine and have the best story for the news. Congrats on 5K, by the way. I don't secretly wish that because I don't want to be on any plane that is in a situation like that. I do think, like, if I had a chance to land any plane, commercial, it would probably be the 737 because of using the PMDG 737. Not saying I can do it, but that's the plane I have the best chance with. Launchpad Insanity says, why did you become a flight simmer instead of a pilot? Well, I didn't really pick in between the two. I just picked up Flight Simulator one day, and it had never been on my mind growing up to be a pilot or anything. And it's still not too late to be a pilot. I definitely will never fly commercial or anything like that. Not for an airline, anyway. But it's not too late to get a private pilot's license, which is something I will pursue pretty soon. You know, I just got some other things financially I need to take care of first. But I do want to be a private pilot one day. And my uncle-in-law, he's in his late, I believe he's in his late 40s, and he just got his private pilot's license about a week ago. So it's, you know, it's never too late to do something like that. Thomas V.D. Bursalar says, when did you start flight simming? I started about 4 years ago. Only 4 years ago. I mean, when I was growing up, I kind of picked up Flight Simulator here and there, but just the graphics just was nothing that really kept my interest. You know, so many years later when I picked it up, I just was, it was awesome. So I kept doing it, and yeah, so about 4 years ago, I started it. The Creative Subject says, what part of flying entices you? Personally, I love planes and just the reason of them being so technologically advanced and how a piece of metal can fly. Aerodynamics. I think just getting up there and able to see all the scenery. I mean, I love the planning of it. You know, the weather, everything about it really. Just the sights you can see, how fast you can get from one place to another, landings, takeoffs. I mean, I really love the whole thing. You know, and then when it comes to the planes, the engines, just all of it entices me. Steve Mitchell says, what is the one thing you think X-Plane needs in order to get a mass migration from other sims? The one thing, I don't know if it's really one thing. I think if they had the PMDG 737 and a few of the other staple aircraft and sceneries, that might help. But the real problem is there's so many people who have either invested all their money in FSX or prepared that they just don't want to go to X-Plane and start over. So, I mean, if I was X-Plane, I would do most of my marketing towards people who are just getting into the hobby. Those are the people I think they should go after to, you know, get the most people over there. It's just people have invested too much in the other sims. I'm starting to use it. I really enjoy it, and there's a lot of freeware on it too. So that's one thing. You just spend $60 for it. Tons of freeware that looks amazing. Looks better than the payware in most cases. So. Matthew Tundador. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm not saying these names right. You know, last names are difficult sometimes. What has been your favorite add-on this year for flight simulation and why? Also, I enjoy watching all your videos and streams. That's a good question. My favorite, probably the FS Labs A320. That was pretty good. Assuming that came out, maybe that didn't come out this year. Maybe that came out a little before. I'm just going to go with the FS Labs A320. It came out within the last year, but I don't know if it came out at the end of 2016, but that's my answer. Eat My Jet Fuel. That's a good name. If you think about how much aviation and flight simulation has progressed in such a short time, what do you think flight simulators will not likely be like? However, what will they be used for? Will the average aviation enthusiast still fly on a flight simulator, or will there be a brand new cheap invention? I think a lot of it's going to go to VR. I think that's the next step. People will be using VR to fly. A lot of people are building cockpits now. In the beginning, I only saw a few people with 737 cockpits. Now it seems like everybody has one. And the motion is starting to come to it too, where you can, you know, the motion for the seat and everything is becoming a lot more affordable. But VR is the next thing, I guarantee it. Okay, onto the back of this one. Hakan Bowen says, if the world was reset to the same state it was 5,000 years ago, do you think by the time the alternate world got to our time point, would it look much different? Would it look much the same? Or would it be quite different? I think it would be exactly the same. If you reset things 5,000 years, I think we would do the exact same things and get the same place we are. Oz Flight Simmer, my good buddy, he says, what is your favorite video you made and why? My favorite video that I made is actually not even on my channel. It's on the FS Elite channel, which it's the Innsbruck review, or first look. That was my favorite video I've probably made. I just really like how the commentary came out, the footage with the music. It's my favorite video, and I'll link that if you want to watch that. It's some of my best work. Ashir Khan says, what is your favorite plane? The 737-800 is my favorite plane. Butterball31 says, how did you get into flight simulation? So basically, like I said, when I was growing up as a kid, I would play flight simulation sometimes, but what really did it was I went to Japan back in, it was either 2013 or 2014. And I went to Japan, and I was on about 9 different flights. We also went to South Korea, and then by the time we got home, it was just 9 different flights. And the flight coming home, there was a lot of turbulence, and I had been on flights my whole life, but I never really experienced one with turbulence. So I went home, and I wanted to learn about turbulence, what it was, and I watched an airline pilot talk about it. And I was just hooked from there. I don't even think I was home for 24 hours before I was going to my local electronics store. I bought FSX, the boxed version, and I bought this yoke, and I bought the throttle here. It was just one, though. And that was it. I mean, I was bit by the flight bug. It was something about being on 9 planes in a matter of 11 days that just got me hooked on flight simulation. Shimmer says, do you ever feel bad for spending so much money on add-ons? Horrible question, I know. There have been times where it's like, I really shouldn't buy this, but I want it, and I just want to get it, so I would get it. The nice thing about having YouTube is being able to earn the YouTube money through the monetization. That helps. And I've also had help from Patreon. The virtual airline pilot, he's one of the people on my channel who's in the suggested YouTubers. He's actually donated $100 to the YouTube, my channel through Patreon, and then the monetization money. That helps a lot. And then working for FS Elite, I get press copies and stuff like that. And it's starting to come to where I get to work with developers. And that's one thing that's cool. When you start on YouTube and you get bigger, you can, you get the attention of people, and they'll send you stuff for free sometimes. So it's not so bad these days. Guillermo Casillas says, what do you find enjoyable in flight sims? Just kind of goes back to what I like about aviation. Especially with the flight simming part, you can fly anywhere you want, anytime you want, in pretty much any plane, and just do whatever you want. There's just so much freedom, and it's just a lot of fun. Sometimes it's kind of hard to explain. I just feel just a lot of joy with it, with using it. And I've always loved computers, and just that I can record and make videos is my favorite thing. Dave Miller says, FSX Steam, P3D, or X-Plane, which is the best and why? I think they're all great for different reasons. I think FSX Steam is good now if you are just getting into it and you're not sure if it's something you'll like. FSX Steam is the cheapest of the bunch, so if you get that, you get a little taste of what it's like, and there's excellent add-ons for that. P3D and X-Plane are excellent sims. I think they're equally excellent. I do like the direction X-Plane is going more. I think they're really trying to add some progression to it, so that's my answer. 3 Snowy Man, he has a long question. He said, there's a disagreement among flight simmers and flight sim developers. It comes down to the prices of add-ons. On one side, the developers argue they can charge high prices because it's a niche market. On the other side, the consumer says they can't. charge high prices because it's a niche market and the demand isn't there. A select few will purchase and the others will wait possibly months for a price to drop. If prices were lower, the rest of the relatively small flight sim community would find these add-ons more accessible, especially with the high entry cost of flight simming, having a compatible computer, and any HOTAS you may have. Are the consumers in the right here or the developers in the right here? What is your opinion on the current add-on prices, and what is the butter zone where both parties benefit? Well, see, the thing is, they charge high prices and people still pay them. And in economics, the consumer does control the market. If they're paying for this stuff, there's no reason to drop the prices. I would like to see prices drop sometimes on sceneries that have been out for several years. Sceneries that have been out for 4 or 5 years still cost the same price that they do, from the day they were first released. Luckily, Christmas and Thanksgiving, that time is coming up soon, so we'll see a lot of sales. I think the prices could be a little lower, but at the same time, I kind of get it. When you're paying $80, $90 for, let's say, the PNVG 737, to me, I find that worth it. I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in that thing. I mean, just to go flying in real life is expensive. I was looking up what it cost in my local area to rent a Cessna 172, and it's $120 per hour. That's the cost, basically, of an FS Labs A320. And when you buy that, you'll have it for forever, for as long as you want to use it. You go spend $120 to rent a Cessna for an hour, that's gone. That time is gone. You'll never get it back. Yeah, you were flying in real life, logging real hours, but it's a moment that's gone, and you don't have... I guess you got something to show for it in the end, but because you're really flying, it's a great experience. But I'm okay with these prices. I wish the scenery prices weren't so high. I'm just not in a place to say it. I'm not the developer. I haven't spent the hours creating these things. The butter zone, I don't know. that's a tough one to answer, but that's my answer. I don't know if there is really a buffer zone for both. I guess, I don't know. We complain about the prices, but a lot of people still pay for it, and that's how these developers survive. People are still paying these high prices. Christian Lee says, what are the difficulties you encountered when you first started flying the simulator? What are the things you suggest for a new flight sim to do to become better, or suggestions for those who want to start flying but still haven't made up their minds? I think the biggest difficulties, the hardest thing to learn was how to land. That was difficult. I mean, I wasn't crashing on landings, but just getting it to land straight and doing it correctly. I still struggle sometimes. And then there's a whole lot of information I had to pick up over time here and there. YouTube's got a lot better. There's a lot more people flight simming now making YouTube videos, tutorials, and that really helps. So what I recommend is just watch tutorials. Find the planes you want to fly, watch tutorials, and just practice. It's going to be constant practice. If you really need to get good at landings, just set yourself up for approach and just keep trying to land over and over again from that approach. The FSX missions, those really helped me too, so you could also do those. Those would really help. Do I have any suggestions for those who want to start flying but still haven't made up their minds? Just go on a discovery flight. See if you like it. Just go to your local airport, your local small airport, and find a flight school where you can do a discovery flight. They're usually around $200 around my area, so that'd be your best bet. Akurasura says, where do you see the flight sim community in 10 years? Software, hardware, new simulators like Flight Sim World, X-Plane 11, Realism, and new developers. Community size, new aircraft. I think the community is only going to grow from here. I think it's going to go a lot VR, and you're going to have a lot more developers coming in. But yeah, the community is only going to grow. Daniel DeAngelis, if you were a commercial pilot, what airline would you work for? Would you want to be normal, regional, or international pilot? If you can buy one aircraft in your life, what would it be? I think I would fly for Southwest. I would want to be a commercial pilot for Southwest. And I'd probably be like John Travolta and buy a 737-800. I really like that plane. Chamir Nawinzi says, can you do an engine failure in the Boring? He said the Boring 777. Please and thank you. I don't have that plane. I'll probably get the 747 before I get the 777, so if I did have it, I could do an engine failure. Island Sound says, if you could change 5 things about the current flight simulators available today, what would it be and why? I don't know if I can come up with 5 things. I'd probably change the price, lower it a little bit. I'd like to see more of them come together, because right now you have a simulator like Prepared. You have to run an app for the weather, an app for the camera, an app for the traffic. I'd like to see those developers come together and work together on one sim, so it's it's a more cohesive thing. You don't have to run all these different applications. And I'd also like to see them optimized a lot better. One airport you might get 50 frames per second, another airport you might get 25 frames per second. So I'd like to see that. I can't think of 5 things though, I'm sorry. AATFW Sputters 2, if there was one thing you could change about the flight sim community, or the sim community, he didn't say flight, sim community, but that's what he means, what would it be? I'd like them to have more patience, maybe more understanding. When Flight Sim World launched earlier this year, everybody was just so, just so rude and mean about it with what they were trying to do. And I think they're on the right track with the way we need to move flight simulation forward, as far as the application goes. And I've seen people loading in photoreal scenery now in Flight Sim World, and it looks incredible. So just, like more understanding, more patience. Afru says, what got you to produce Flight Sim content, and how did you get into Flight Sim? Well, what really got me into it was just getting in there and seeing the camera, how you could, move the camera around like in real life. And Flight Sim, this is the only simulator or game, whatever you want to call it, that is actually really modeled after real life. And just seeing the camera system, at the time I was using EasyDock, now it's Chaseplane, how you could get in there and move around and make a film exactly how you could in real life. That's what really got me into it. And yeah, just seeing that made me want to produce content. Fezer says, what was it that got you into aviation, and did anyone ever tell you not to like it? Nobody ever told me not to like it. Growing up, my dad worked for U.S. Airways for 35 years. He worked for them way back when they were PSA, and he worked on the ground a lot. He worked with the catering. He would clean the airplanes. He would operate the tug, push the airplanes back, bring them in. And then he moved on to the ticket counter. So I always had my dad, kind of around the airports and in the aviation life. And so that's kind of what got me into it. It's kind of weird. I got into flight simulation around when I was the same age as my dad, who got into, working at the airline. So it's almost like, it almost feels like I was like genetically around the age of my mid-20s to get into flight simulation as he got into aviation at that time too. Josh Walter says, hey, what's your favorite aircraft to fly in Flight Sim and why? The PMDG 737-800, and just because it works. It doesn't have that many quirks. A lot of the other aircraft I use sometimes, if something doesn't go right, you don't know if it's you or if it's the sim. PMDG 737 it works. It's a great aircraft. Definitely has set the standard of what these simulators should be like. Sam ZoXO, where did you come up with the name, the Flight Sim Deck? Very catchy, might I add. I was actually on a flight, and the captain or first officer came on and said, this is the flight deck, and they were going over the weather and stuff. And I kind of thought, the flight deck, I'm doing simulation, I should call it the Flight Sim Deck. So that's where I came up with the name. Alright, Captain Oblivious says, will you ever do X-Plane 11 videos with different add-ons, and also how is the YouTuber life and having that many subs? I will do X-Plane 11 videos with different add-ons. I'm looking forward to the A320 one that's coming out soon. And the YouTuber life with this many subs is, it's pretty cool to have a larger audience than before. I'm starting out. That was the hardest thing, is having, few people to show the content to, just 10 people watching or so. The comments and messages and stuff are kind of getting a little, I can see it eventually getting out of hand when I won't be able to answer everybody because I get comments every day. People message on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They send messages. So, you know, a lot of it is kind of technical questions about their sim not working. So you kind of become like the IT person when you're like a YouTube flight sim personality, I guess. The next question is Baydari says, hi, what is your favorite flight simulator at the moment? Did you ever fly in Africa? If yes, which part and which scenery do you advise me to get? Also about prepared version 4, do we have to buy FSUI PC5 in order to avoid controllers issues? If you mean controllers like these, I didn't have to do that. They work just fine. Never flown around in Africa in the sim, so I don't know which scenery for you to get. But my favorite flight simulator at the moment is prepared version 4. Bananagram03 says, okay, then this is the big one. Will you do a multiplayer flight on something like FS Cloud? And 2, how are baby airplanes made? Well, baby airplanes are made, you know, when 2 airplanes love each other very much. They, no. I'm open to doing a multiplayer flight on FS Cloud. Yeah, I've never used FS Cloud, but I would like to. It'd be fun to host one and do something live, like a live stream with everybody. Carson Matherly says, what are the reasons you chose not to be a pilot? Well, I didn't really choose not to be a pilot. It never really was on, you know, never really was something I was aspiring to be. By the time I got into flight simulation, my career path as a graphic designer, web developer was pretty much already set. And, but I still could be a private pilot, which is what I plan to do one day. My uncle-in-law, who's actually in his late 40s, just got his private pilot's license, so you can really do that at any time, you know. But that's what I'd like to do soon. LitMW, do you want to fly a VFR plane by yourself? Yeah, it would be fun to do one day by myself. Of course, having company would be more ideal, but by myself, yeah. Mighty X said, what made you want to start this channel? Kind of like I touched on before, just getting into the sim, seeing the camera, how easy it was to use and how you could make films with it, and then seeing what other people on YouTube were doing, I just thought I could do that. Sam Wheeler says, hey Patrick, during the whole process of getting into flight sim and learning all these aircraft, what did you find the hardest thing about starting or setting it all up? Thanks, Sam. The hardest thing about setting it all up was just figuring out what add-ons you needed for each thing to work. You know, it's just I had to learn little by little. You know, learn what weather engine was the one to have, what planes, what sceneries are the best, and then the places to go. I think that was the hardest thing. Unreal Deadric says, hey Patrick, when you first got into YouTube, did you expect 5,000 plus subscribers? And when you started to fly in the sim, what was the most challenging part to learn and why? I think the most challenging part to learn was just landings. Really, that was the main thing. And then why? Just because the landings are it's a lot to perfect, different weather, different runways, and planes, and that was it. And did I ever expect 5,000 subscribers? I kind of did. When I got into it, that's kind of what I dreamed big. And I think if you're in this YouTube game, that's kind of what you need to believe. It's good to believe that you can be successful and have a lot of subs. I kind of took a look at all the successful flight sim YouTubers, and I just saw what they were doing, and I was like, I think I can do better. Like I can do way better and do it differently, and that's what I set out to do. And not to sound cocky in saying that, but I think you really do need to believe that if you want YouTube success. If you're just on YouTube just for fun, then you already win. It's not, it doesn't matter, but you kind of need to believe that. And that's pretty much all the questions. Onto the giveaway. I think the community agreed too. This one also got the most likes, and I thought it was the most funny. That guy with the guitar, when he said, do you secretly hope one day the cabin crew will call out, does anybody here know how to fly this plane, and so on. So I'll give the scenery on to you. If you want to send me an email at flightsimdeck@gmail.com, we can set that up. If you don't want it, you want someone else to have it, I can give it to somebody else in here, just let me know. But we can set that up. But anyways, everybody, I want to thank you so much for putting all these questions together. It really means a lot to have this community that I've kind of built around this channel, and you guys are the best. Dogs. But anyways, thank you everybody so much. You guys are awesome. You guys take care as always, and I'll see you on the next video.